Many of you are probably also familiar maybe with the regulatory documents, and many sponsors require these to be captured within an actual study binder or some sort of combined document. They may include the study itself as well as any amendments, the drug brochure, the forms 1572, which is a really important form for investigators to complete, all the CVs of the personnel that are listed on the 1572, any IRB information or approvals, correspondence, all the IND safety reports, and the site safety reports that have been submitted to the IRB. Also should include the IRB approved consent documents, any advertisements that have been used, the IRB membership list, investigational drug inventories, telephone logs that may have been used to document the tracking of what's gone on with the study, any copies of lab certifications, CLIA reports, logs documenting CRA visits, as well as signature logs, and then the closeout letter. All those documents would be included within the regulatory documents or the binder. NIH also does have documents that they like to have. If any of you are the NIH employees, which many of you are, you'll be familiar with these. The human subjects protection training, conflict of interest documents, disclosing finance interests, as well as the Data Safety Monitoring Board plan is included with any of our grant applications that we have, as well as all our research programs are required to have that. What is the data sharing policy, as well as how to adequately plan for and include minorities, women, and children within your research. Record retention, how long to determine to keep records is a question I often receive. When some of these studies go on for years and years, these research sites can have a lot of data, a lot of records that they have on and storage, and it can become quite expensive. Many of my sites are now transferring that information into an electronic capture system by scanning and trying to reduce the burden, but it's difficult to find concrete information on what timelines records should be retained. There are some minimums, though, and usually the sponsor will define that, but for minimums, 2 years following the date the marketing application is approved for any investigational new drug is a standard, and if the application is disapproved, then the data should be maintained for 2 years after the shipment and delivery of the drug for the investigational use is discontinued and the FDA is notified. All IRB records should probably be maintained for at least 3 years after the study is completed. And some of these studies can go on for many years, so that's a long time to maintain. As far as follow-up and analysis, no further participant enrollment is a time point that follow-up needs to be determined. How long does that need to go out? How much data needs to be collected during this phase? Hopefully just minimum amounts, because the funding is going to be far less at this time point. Think about data queries in preparation for the final analysis. Once this is completed, the data is frozen, and you can't sites can't enter more information into the data system, so they want to get that information in before that time point. And then the study closeout is an intense review that, again, is done by the sponsor, in which they review the regulatory documents, they look at any outstanding CRFs and queries, they look at the drug inventory, they verify that all AEs and SAEs have been reported to the IRB and the sponsor, any remaining drug is returned, and then arrangements for the record storage are discussed and determined. So basically, there are some key pieces that keep in mind as far as guiding principles of data management. Again, designing CRFs in accordance with the protocol and doing them in a method that makes sense and are user-friendly are key. Standardized data entry procedures and processes. Stay organized. Being compulsive, I think, is a key attribute for people who are involved in research, because they tend to be the ones that want to pay really strong attention to detail. Don't get behind, because it's so difficult to get caught back up. Easier said than done. And then thorough and complete documentation is key. And again, I'll provide you some resource websites that you can use, as well as some additional references for some of the information that I provided within the slides. You can go to these and review it in more detail if you like. And so with that, I'd be happy to take any questions anyone might have. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, which is just fine. We're right at the end of the time period, so I thank you for your attention. And I think if you come up with questions later, there's the opportunity to send them to me. I'll see what I can do to happily answer those as well I can, or find the answers for you. Thank you.